Please take your seats. Good morning. Welcome to the Santa Rosa County Board Commission committee meeting. It's Monday, May the 19th, 9 o'clock. If you would, please take a minute to put your cell phones on silence. And I'll remind you again, as we go through the agenda, if you would like to speak, join the queue. Be sure you fill out a speaker's form and leave it with a recorder. And we ask that you stick with the topic on hand. If you want to talk about something else, that's what the public forum is for. Would you rise with me, please? Heavenly Father, we thank you for the privilege of joining together to determine our own business and to run our own affairs. We pray that what we say here and do here will be pleasing in your sight, and we ask in Jesus' name and for his sake. I believe it's Commissioner Lynchard's turn.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to our nation's flag. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First up is Economic Development Committee, Commissioner Salter.
Check the agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm taking off on additions or deletions to the agenda. Thank you,
Mr. Chairman, I'm under Economic Development number 2. I want to pull that item, and I'll discuss it in a few minutes.
Okay, so we're going to pull item number 2.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Cole.
Just an information item, a personal information item.
Okay, do you want to put that at the end of the budget and finance and before the public forum?
Wherever, or it's just a real quick thing.
Okay. Commissioner Blanchard.
No changes, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Walker.
Mr. Chairman, one item that I had emailed out to add would be to join Escambia County in requesting that the state absorb the full local share for the FEMA. There's a 25% local match. Typically, the state splits that with us. In the past, they have absorbed all of it, and that would be our request with.
Okay. And put that on the administrative committee.
Thank you.
Item 14 on the administrative.
And I do believe that on number 1 on the financial management, the $100,000 for the Pensacola State College building that was approved at last week's meeting, I don't believe we need a budget amendment on that. So we will pull that.
Pull item number 1.
Yeah, they're not ready. They're not ready for the funds.
Okay, do we need to go ahead and get the expenditure approved so that when they're ready that we don't have to deal with it? It's already here. We might as well dispose of it. Just go ahead and tee it up in the books and records so that we can do.
You've already approved it. It was just we weren't going to move it in the budget until it was time. But
okay, so we'll pull economic development item number
yes,
1.
You approved this at the last meeting.
Budget number 1.
I'm sorry. Budget and finance.
Yeah, okay. So if you would make that change, please, to pull budget item number 1. Ms. Jones? Roger? Ms. Bell? Okay. Commissioner Salter, economic.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have 2 items. First one is discussion of proposal in the amount of $10,000 from the University of West Florida Haas Center for our 2014 military transition study of Santa Rosa County and Northwest Florida region. This will be funded through the Florida Defense Reinvestment Grant. This is something that was approved several months ago. So I would move approval. I would move this to Thursday's agenda without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
I'll go ahead and talk briefly about number 2. Number 2 was discussion of submission of Florida Department of Economic Opportunities Community Planning and Development Grant for development of strategic marketing plan for the county. Shannon and I were talking earlier, and we now have an opportunity to possibly get a federal grant where the match would be lower. So we want to try for the federal grant, and if it doesn't work, then we'll come back and try for the state. So we want to pull that one.
Okay, sir.
Number 3, update on project delivery in Santa Rosa County Industrial Park, and I'll ask Shannon to come forward and give us an update.
Good morning. We have I just wanted to provide the commission and the public with an update on a project that we've been working with. Project named Project Delivery is moving to the Santa Rosa Industrial Park. The company is purchasing the former Brighton/84 lumber site at the corner of Industrial Boulevard and Highway 90. The company is anticipating moving in sometime in the next couple of weeks if we can hammer out the final details of the arrangement. The reason I bring this up is the rail is a primary concern for this company. The company will be receiving upwards of 20 rail cars a month. And the estimated employment is floating somewhere between 20 to 30 jobs for that site. But as I said, the rail is a primary concern for this company. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks, hopefully this week actually, the sale agreement will take place. And I can come back to the board maybe on Thursday or in prior weeks to announce that project. But like I said, the rail is the concern for this project. And just north of that site, you'll see the cleared spot where a proposed parking lot could be. And as a tenant that goes to the former Clearwire facility is something we got to look at in the near future. Also, as I'm talking with numerous clients. So just wanted to bring that forward and let you know what we're working with.
Any questions or comments from the board?
Good job. Thank you. Just keep bringing them in.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to remind everybody, too, that last week we had a super groundbreaking out at the industrial park with Gold Ring Gulf Distribution. Several of us were there. That is a 35-acre project, 191,460 square foot building. They're going to have 242 jobs coming with the addition of 50 more in the very near future. So that is a big deal for Santa Rosa County. Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Salter. Next is the Administrative Committee. And we have 14 items this morning. Item number 1 is discussion of a request from citizens to incorporate Navarre for resolution providing for a non-binding referendum on the August 26, 2014 ballot regarding incorporation of the area south of East River as the city of Navarre, and request for an allocation of $27,500 for a feasibility study.
Mr. Chairman, in your
Yes, sir.
packet,
Yes, sir.
in your packet is the proposed map, and then there's a PowerPoint that Ms. Gallup will review.
Thank you, gentlemen. I'm Laurie Gallup, 1869 Flamingo Lane in Navarre, and I represent Citizens to Incorporate Navarre. We're a political committee that have been working on and investigating the potential incorporation of Navarre as its own city. I've got a PowerPoint presentation that hopefully, there we go. Okay, so that's what we're here for right now, is to bring you up to date on our efforts and ask for a straw poll and funding for a feasibility study. So here's the map of the proposed incorporation area. It would be the 2 streets west of Edgewood, which would be all of the Holly Navarre Water and Fire District on the west side, the East Bay and the river on the north side, the Okaloosa County line on the east side, and on the south side, Navarre Beach. So just to give you a little history about our effort, in 2006, the Navarre Area Chamber of Commerce established a task force which requested Government Services Group to perform a feasibility study to determine the feasibility of Navarre incorporation. The study cost $50,000, and it was split 50-50 by the Chamber and the Santa Rosa County Commission. In October of 2006, the feasibility study was published, and it concluded that Navarre met all legislative requirements to become a city. In January of 2007, the initiative was placed on hold because of the financial crisis. There just simply wasn't the funding available to pursue the writing of the city charter. The people that lived in Navarre that were promoting this, we just simply ran out of money. So in April of 2012, a diverse group of citizens started a grassroots effort, and we formed a political action committee, Citizens to Incorporate Navarre, and the committee began exploring incorporation as an option to protect and enhance the quality of life that we have in Navarre. We entered into a contract in June of 2013 with Severn Trent Services to identify potential revenues and expenditures for the establishment of a town in the Navarre Beach area. The Severn Trent study determined that the Navarre area comprises 22% of the population of Santa Rosa County and represents 26.36% of the total taxable value of the county. It determined that incorporation is financially feasible. It determined that county services would be funded by ad valorem revenue currently collected by the county, and it determined that town services would be funded through non-ad valorem sources currently being paid by residents of the incorporated area, including municipal revenue sharing. In November of 2013, our group met with Representative Broxson, and we discussed the incorporation effort. Representative Broxson requested that a non-binding straw poll of the citizens of Navarre be held to determine their desire to move forward or not to move forward with legislation for incorporation. After Representative Broxson asked us that, we circulated a petition to ask the residents of Navarre requesting a non-binding straw poll to be placed on the August 26th ballot so that we could determine the level of interest in the community. So we're here today officially submitting these petitions to you, and we're requesting that a non-binding straw poll be placed on the August 26th ballot with the wording of, "I support a legislative effort to consider the municipal incorporation of Navarre, which includes proposed legislation and the submittal of a feasibility study to the Florida legislature," and it will be a yes or no question. So in order to have an educated public voting on this issue, it is necessary to conduct a thorough feasibility study which will provide the information requested by Navarre citizens. Through research, it has been determined that BJM Consulting can best provide this information. BJM Consulting has completed incorporation studies for a number of Florida cities. Notably, BJM Consulting completed the study for Estero, whose legislation for a referendum passed the House and Senate and was signed by Governor Scott on May 12, 2014. The citizens of Estero will vote on their referendum to become a city or not to become a city in November of 2014. BJM Consulting's study will include a comprehensive SWOT analysis, which will identify our strengths, our weaknesses, our opportunities, and threats. This analysis will provide the in-depth information, including the pros and cons of incorporation, which will allow the citizens of Navarre to make an informed vote in the non-binding straw poll. BJM's scope of service includes a review of the existing services presently being provided in Navarre, development of proposed incorporation revenue timeline and administrative review of draft charter, development of revenue analysis for the proposed incorporated area, development of expenditure analysis for the proposed incorporated area, and development of the pro forma presentation of revenues versus expenditures forecasted for a period of 5 years. In addition to these services, BJM Consulting will interview Navarre community leaders as well as county officials to gather information for the study. BJM Consulting will also hold up to 3 public meetings to present the published feasibility study and answer questions from the citizens of Navarre. The cost of this complete study is $27,500. We are requesting the Commissioners approve funding of $27,500 for this study. So to summarize our requests, we request a non-binding straw poll on the August 26th ballot, and we request the approval of funding of $27,500 for the feasibility study to BJM Consulting. So are there any questions?
Commissioner
Mr. Chairman, I have questions, but I'd rather wait and hear from anyone else who wants to speak first.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am. Next.
I'll never be as good as she is at speaking because I've never done this before. I live in Holly.
Give us your name and address.
Oh,
for the
my
record.
name is Betty Fields. My address is 7551 Holly, Florida. My mail does come, Holly, Florida. I do not live in Navarre. I've lived in Holly all my life. I have petitions here that we do not want to be included in the straw vote. If we get our wish not to be included in the straw vote to become a city, most people's addresses are Navarre that live in Holly because y'all took Holly away from us. It's my community. I've lived there all my life. Most of the people on these ballots here have lived there all their life. We do not want to be a city. We don't want to be included in Navarre at all. I mean, I love my community just as much as Navarre likes theirs. I've been there longer. I'd like to keep Holly as Holly. So I would want to make sure that if they can have their straw poll, you know, it really doesn't matter to us. We just do not, as a community, want to be included in the straw poll to make Navarre a city or incorporate. And thank you very much.
Thank you for your thoughts.
Have any questions?
No, I think you were very clear.
Thank you.
May.
My name is Ira Mae Bruce, 7189 Wells Avenue, Navarre. I live in Holly, too. But my questions are not about Holly. Several years ago, when the study was done for incorporation, the chamber was involved. The chamber paid half, and the county paid half of that. It fell apart, and I'm not privy to why it fell apart. It never did go to an election. My concerns today are that the petitions that have been presented have not been validated by the supervisor of elections. So there's no validation on whether the petitions have been presented or people who actually live in the Navarre area. My second thing is that if the incorporation group wants to incorporate, they should pay the entire cost. Before, half the cost was paid by the community, me from the Chamber of Commerce, and half the cost was paid by the county. There's no reason to have another study, and the county should choose the person, go out for bids, choose whatever group there is, if you want to pay for the study, just as you do with every other bid process you do, and that's my problem. I want to be sure that when this is done, that the petitions are validated, and if the county approves it, that it be done through the proper county process. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Good morning. I'm Vicki Helton, 1913 Flamingo Lane, Navarre. I'm on the Citizens to Incorporate Navarre committee, and I am actually here representing a lot of people that couldn't be here today because they're working, they have small children, they're elderly. I have been throughout the entire part of Navarre collecting signatures, knocking on doors, going to ballparks, going to the Fun Fest. People are very interested in going forward with the straw poll. I think the citizens of Navarre deserve the right to vote, yes or no, on a straw poll. We'll be glad to work with you guys on validating the signatures. I know that this is just the initial submission process, and thank you for accepting them.
Thank you, Vicki. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Sandra Horton. I'm a resident of 1852 Falling Leaves Court, Navarre. A lot of you have never seen me before because I'm retired military and I've never been involved in the politics of town or county or anything like that. This issue does concern me very much. It concerns a lot of my friends. And my concern is if the majority of the city or area does want to, fine, but I ask that you all make sure, please, registered voters count. I've got nothing against my neighbors who are here for a year or two, but I'm retired military. I became a registered voter, and I expect everyone else, if they want to input in this town, to be of the same. I also have concerns not only of registered voters, because I am also working a petition to not incorporate with registered voters, because there are a lot of us that have concerns. My other concern is to make sure it's an impartial, if there is a feasibility study, it be an impartial company, somebody that does not have a vested interest, somebody that will not gain anything from this, whether we do or do not incorporate. Like I said, there's a lot of people on both sides. It's becoming a very emotional issue for a lot of us. I just ask that if you all do decide that, I request you don't. I don't think it's needed or wanted, but if you do, please make sure that it's done fairly and unbiasedly. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, gentlemen. My name is Billy Neal. I live at 2418 Pine Needle in Navarre. I, too, am a member of the group supporting the incorporation of Navarre. I was one of the individuals collecting signatures at both the Fun Fest and at the subdivision where I live, which is the second largest in the state of Florida. I'm also a Santa Rosa County poll worker, and I would gladly work with the supervisor elections to validate the signatures that we collected. Of the signatures that I collected, the people that I approached, more than 90% of those people were for the issue being placed on the ballot. They were, I won't say they were 100% behind the incorporation effort, but they wanted more information. Our small group does not have the funding resources to collect current information for the area that we're talking about. I would at least request that you address the issue of getting the question placed on the ballot and provide the residents of the proposed incorporation area with additional information so they can make an informed decision about they are for it or they're against it, they want to remain the same. But just driving up here today, one of the things that irritates me the most is that in Navarre, we're not a city. But when I drive up to Milton and I drive along Highway 90 or I drive through Gulf Breeze along Highway 98 there, I look at the area beautification that's occurred along Highway 98. We're not eligible for that because we're not incorporated. There's a lot of other funding issues that we're not eligible for because we're not a city. We want to be a good-looking location like Gulf Breeze and or like the city of Milton. So please help us accomplish that task and let the voters of our area make the decision. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning, Donna Harville, 3352 Highway 87. The only thing I would like to add to the agenda is I'm very vague about the straw poll. Who is going to vote on this? Is it just going to be the Navarre precinct or is the Hawley precinct going to vote on it? And even though the power presentation says Hawley's not included, we don't have that in writing. And with real estate as my background, I would like everything in writing. I would like it rewritten to say that it does not include everything north of East River to the Eglin territory. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Good morning. My name is Earl Dean, 7456 Woodmont Street, Navarre, Florida. As one of the young ladies got up and said that she didn't want to be part of the study, as Holly was not included in it, okay? So everybody can set themselves at ease that Holly is not part of it. It was not taken into consideration when the study was done. Thank you.
Thank you, Gerald.
I'd like to clarify a point. The feasibility study is what is actually the contract, the written document of what is what and what is involved. So that's why we have to fund a feasibility study, and that's why we're asking that it be funded by the county, because the feasibility study is what actually goes up to the state legislature, and that's what they look at and make their determination as far as incorporation and allowing a referendum for a new city. So it's that feasibility study that outlines the boundaries, the area we're talking about incorporating, the people. It describes everything. So that's what the feasibility study is. That's the document that goes up to the state along with our draft charter that they actually consider for legislation. And we are not including Holly in this effort. Our boundary, our northern boundary is the Bay and East River, so that does not include Holly. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I'm Kathleen Papsmore. I'm from God's country, which is Santa Rosa County. That's exactly the way I feel about my home. Holly is my home, and I agree with IRMA. I think, the ballots, the voting, the petitions need to be validated. There is a proper procedure, and the county has paid $50,000 with the chamber on this feasible study before, and it didn't go anywhere. I would not want to see the county spend extra money. The county needs to spend it wisely on other areas of the county. If Navarre wants to incorporate, let them raise the money to do so. We want good government. I think what you provide us is adequate. If I want something in Holly, I come to you. You deal with it. I've been here. It's been years since you've seen me. Most of you are new county commissioners, but I'm not a stranger to this podium by any means. But, Holly does, the petition they put is vague. It says Navarre. We have the zip code for Navarre. Please consider seriously that Precinct 10 is not included in anything. They say a lot of things, and a lot of people say a lot of things. I don't trust them. I don't trust them at all. And I think they need to do more homework to get their job done. And they need to be what's right for the people. Evidently, Navarre's being torn apart because people don't want to be incorporated either. And you heard the lady earlier state that. Please make your decisions wisely. You have in the past, and please do that in the future, especially with our hometown and our God's country. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have something else to add, Lori?
I do.
If you're going to counter a point.
Yes.
Okay.
The study done in 06, 07 is outdated. The state will not allow that. It has to be an updated study. That study would be thrown out. Plus, that study never provided us with a budget. It never provided us with a 5-year projected revenues and expenses. So we must have an updated study. Thank you.
Okay, I have a question for you, please, before you leave. So the feasibility study is required as part of the submission package?
Yes, it is.
What's the chamber's position on this?
I've tried to meet several times with the chamber, but because of issues like they've had the Fun Fest, they've had the Taste of Navarre, they've been doing a lot of work like that. I haven't met with the chamber. And frankly, because this is a grassroots effort, we feel that the people, not just a Chamber of Commerce or the Board of Realtors or any other group that in the past has provided the direction for Navarre, this is actually coming from the people, the voters. Not everyone's a member of the Chamber of Commerce. And these are actual residents that live in Navarre that want to have just the right to vote. We just want the right to vote. That's all we're asking.
Thank you. Bob, name and address for the record, please.
Bob Hartley, 6794 Tom King, Bayou Road. I don't have any objection with the citizens. I live in Navarre. I have a business there. I don't have any objection to the people voting. I don't think you guys do either. I'm fine with that. I'm not fine with the 27,000. Every issue's ever come in the time of period I've lived here. that if we need revenue, we raise it. Where it was a wet, dry issue, whatever it was that came forth, the people involved in it raised the money. $27,500 is a lot of money to an individual. It's not a lot of money to a group of people. If you can sell the business district on it, I have grave reservations about the idea there'll be no additional ad valorem tax. I have huge reservations about that. But I have no reservations about the people deciding. But if the group believes they have the support of the people, then I'm all for it. I'm all for the people deciding. But what I'm not all for is the county spending $27,500 of the citizens' money to help them come to that decision. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am, name and address for the record.
Good morning, I'm Michelle Tucker at 2742 Noah Jordan Road in Navarre, and I am here to ask that you deny the request for the straw poll vote. About a year ago, 2 years ago, July 2012, the same issue came before you at that time. And again, at that time, y'all rejected the issue of a straw poll vote because there was not enough education out there, not enough information out there for the public to make an informed decision. In my opinion, as I've attended just about all of the meetings that they have held in the last 9 months, I have not had questions answered that are very pertinent to whether or not we can fund a budget that can sustain our environment, our community, in the manner that needs to be acceptable by everybody. I would also ask that you consider that at the present time, there are no procedures in place at the county level for a straw poll vote or a non-binding referendum. There's no procedure to tell you how to gather those signatures, who will vote when it comes up to, if it was to be put on a ballot. And so I would ask that you delay this request until there are procedures in place at a county level to help guide this process through. Thank you.
Just a moment, please, ma'am. I haven't asked the supervisor of elections what the procedures are. I assume that this committee that's putting the Pro Incorporation Committee had put those things together. Is it your information that there is no mechanism in place at the county level to submit petitions?
That is my understanding from Attorney Angela Jones.
Okay.
And the email sent to her in March of 2014.
Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am, Vicki.
Commissioner.
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Jones.
Ms. Tucker's question was, when I addressed her, what procedures do you all have for petitions? And you all accept petitions all the time and decide whether they're meritorious and what you want to do with them. There is a legislative procedure for incorporating, and it includes submitting to the clerk a petition that contains 10% of the voters on the petition wanting to incorporate. To my knowledge, that has not been done. I think the group is wanting the straw poll ahead of that or as a precursor to that. But no matter what, that petition step, which is laid out statutorily, would have to be done. But that's submitted to the clerk.
So it's submitted through the clerk and then verified by a supervisor of elections, verifying that they're all registered voters. Okay, that helps a lot. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, this is actually for the straw poll. So a petition to have a straw poll is different from incorporation. The $27,500, I think the county could probably come up with that money for us. We've been asking to get help from a lot of people, but we can't seem to get anybody to just help get a study put together that answers everybody's questions. We have questions we don't have answered. Navarre residents pay a lot of taxes to Santa Rosa County, and I think they're getting a little bit tired of the service they're being provided. I think coughing up $27,500 is chump change. We really need your help, gentlemen. Please, let's get a good feasibility study put together so we can go forward and we can all educate ourselves on the possibility of Navarre becoming a city. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Ira Mae Bruce, 7189 Wells Avenue. I failed to give you a form that I wanted to pass out to you when I was here.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
My reason for giving you this form is because I question some of the details on it. It looks like all of the ad valorem taxes from the county would go to Navarre. I'd like to see a response from our county on if all these items are true so that people know whether they're voting properly or not. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry to come up again, but there's just a few things I wanted to also bring up again. The feasibility study, I asked that we not have the county pay for as a resident in Navarre. I'd rather see $27,000 go to something more worthwhile for Navarre. If Navarre Inc. wants to do it, let Navarre Inc. pay for it, is my opinion. Also, do you, as the county commission, for those of us who do not want to incorporate in the area of Navarre, is there something we can do? Do we need a petition? Do we need a registered voters? What is it that, I know Navarre Inc. has a voice, but right now, those not wanting to incorporate, we don't have a voice. So how can we get a voice?
Commissioner Richard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think it might be helpful if our county attorney, can you lay out the process for incorporation, if you're in a position to do that? But the straw poll would be an opportunity for you to voice your opinion if you're against the incorporation. But that is only the first step, and that's not a legally required step in incorporation. The straw poll is something that was requested by the district representative in order to move forward, because he brings it to the legislature. But then at some point in the future, there will be another vote. And is that before or after it is introduced in the legislature?
After.
So there's a multiple step process, and any feasibility study that we do now, will it still be valid when this is introduced to the legislature? If the other one's outdated, I mean, what's the shelf life of one of these feasibility studies? How long is it going to take this to work its way through the legislature? Are we going to, Lori, I'll let you answer that.
Well, our hope is that if the straw poll, if people approve and they want to move forward, our hope is then our legislative delegation will then take it to the next session, and we will actually have legislation created next year, and then we'd be able to vote in November of 2015 at on a referendum whether or not we want to be a city. Yes.
Okay, but my concern is when you say, okay, a straw poll first, we are being told many things, promising many things that are going to happen, all these things, and they're expecting people to vote on these potential or on these dreams or on these wannabes. Of course, everybody's going to say we can do all these things without raising taxes. People who would not want to do is vote yes on a straw poll. I'm asking that we get information, because a lot of us, I could turn incorporated, a lot of us could, but we don't have the information we need to make an intelligent decision. And before a straw poll gets done, we need we need actual facts, not what some slides that we can't read, or not what some company who wants bids say. We want intelligent data before the straw poll. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Kathleen Passmore, 7479 Chase Street. Holly, I just want to point out, and it's not kind of been said, but the straw vote costs money. The county has to pay for it. That's going to be $25,000 to $30,000, $40,000 on top of the 27-something thousand that they're asking. Please, gentlemen, let them get 10% of the voters. Let them go back. Let them backtrack a little bit. Let them see what they have. Let them do fundraisers. I don't care what they want. Let them get, collect those 10% of the voters, legal voters in Santa Rosa County. You process it. You validate those through the election department. They can witness, but do not let them have any hand in validating these votes. You do that with your people. I respect you that I know you would do that. But this straw vote is going to put extra cost and burden on our county. And the $27,000, I think, could be spent somewhere else, plus the straw vote money. If they get their petition, they can have their vote. They can have their referendum. But let them do their homework, let them do their education, because obviously I don't see where they came to the table today and brought anything else new than unanswered questions and things that they haven't done in two years ago. And I was here at that meeting, gentlemen, and I don't see any much difference. They need to do their homework a lot better, and they need to provide you with more information. Please consider this before you make your decisions.
Thank you.
Don't let them take our money away from the county.
Ms. Jones?
Did you want me to do an overview?
I would like to ask you a question
Oh, I'm
first.
sorry.
The party requesting the issue on a ballot normally funds that, do they not? I mean, as an observer to the wet-dry election, I remember that issue had to raise its own money, and I don't know if they had to pay to be on the ballot or not.
There's no cost. You all decide what goes on the ballot, and there would be no cost to putting another question on the ballot, frankly, as long as it kept us from having to go to another page. So as long as we don't add another page to the ballot, there's no cost associated with it. So if as long as you weren't holding a special election or something like that, if you just put another question on there, it's not going to cost anybody anything else.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that clarification.
That's good to know, gentlemen. But please consider your choice wisely.
Sorry, Vicki Helton again.
Yeah.
We're here today asking for a straw poll. We've collected petitions. People, I would say the majority, I don't know how many are registered voters, but there are a lot of people that live here in Navarre. There's a lot of active duty military that signed the petition. We're just asking for a straw poll. Before people can say yes or no, they need to be informed. We need a professional company to come up with the information so we can make an informed decision. We don't know what the company's going to come up with. They might come up with some analysis that would, indicate a decision one way or the other. But we are not professionals. We don't know how to do feasibility studies. We want a legitimate company to do the study so people can make an informed decision. So we're asking for a straw poll, and we're asking for you to fund a feasibility study. Please, thank you.
Wallace Mahout, 5500 Cox Road, Milton, Florida. I don't have a dog in this fight because I don't live in Navarre, but as I sit here and listen, it seems like there might be a lot of confusion, a lot of questions that people would like to have answered. And my solution would be for you to have an evening meeting in Navarre. You have a place to hold a meeting right now, and have members of staff that could answer any questions that people might have. Advertise it so people know they can go to the meeting. And once they have more information, maybe they could have a better chance of making an informed decision. And then you can go from there. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Lori, this is going to wind it up.
Yeah, winding it up here. The last time a city incorporated in Santa Rosa County, I believe, was in the 60s, and it was Gulf Breeze. So I don't believe anyone here was around to see that happen, or, we might have been around, but we were young. And so this is really a new thing for Santa Rosa County. That's why we need to fund the study with the people that know how to do this, that have had success in doing it, because this particular company was successful, and the city of Estero went through the legislative process, and they're going to actually be able to vote on their referendum in November. As far as the straw poll goes and registered voters, we can't go to the polls and vote unless we're a registered voter. So the straw poll is what's going to actually gauge your interest of the people of Navarre and whether or not they want to incorporate. And in order to make an educated decision, we need to have the facts. So there's no one here that's able to get the facts like this company that's what they do. They do incorporation studies. And it's almost half the price of what we funded the last time. And it's not unprecedented that counties fund feasibility studies for their constituents. Marion County did it, Collier County did it, and even Santa Rosa County did it back in '06. So the precedent's already been set. And I want to just clear up one thing. Ad valorem taxes and cities. If Navarre incorporates, all of our ad valorem tax still comes to Santa Rosa County. That's not the money we're talking about when we talk about money that we can use to fund our city. We're 35,000 people in Navarre, and just that little tiny part of Santa Rosa County is 35,000 people. And when that incorporates and becomes a city, it qualifies for a lot of money from the state of Florida and different avenues that we get money. So that's how we're planning on funding our city, and we're planning on having a very lean government, just like everybody wants. They want a lean government, and that's the way we plan on running our city of Navarre. So we're just asking for the right to vote, and we're asking that the feasibility study be funded so that we can get all of these questions of the people answered. And we can have the study done within 30 days. It'll be ready in time for the straw poll so that everybody can be informed. Thank you.
Etta.
Etta Lawler, 2532 Cedar Crest Lane, Navarre, Florida. I have no issue putting a non-binding straw poll on the ballot, and especially if it's just one little question that doesn't kick it into another page that comes out of the county budget. So that's not an issue. The funding of the study by the group they selected, I believe, could be an issue for you folks. The county does have a procurement. If you decide that it should be done, run it through your procurement department as you do bidding for other items. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Any commissioners have comments they want to make?
Donna Harville, 3352 Highway 87. I just have a question about this BJM Consulting, just handing them a $27,000 check. Has anybody done a background check on them? I am a voter in Santa Rosa County, so is my family. And I just have a problem with writing somebody a check for $27,000. And has it been up for bids? Does anybody even know of this company? I would just ask that you would look. I have no problem with taking bids on it. I just have a problem with writing somebody a check that I don't know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Billy Neal, 2418 Pine Needle Lane. I'd ask the commissioners that you've heard both for and against this issue moving forward. We respect those residents of the community of Holly if they don't want to be part of this incorporation. If it happens, so be it. Nobody's going to force them to do that. Residents of the Navarre area have come to the commissioners and asked you to do something. We want to be a city. The process that we use, we're not the experts. We're presenting the issue to you. If for some reason the company that we've selected to do this study is not the appropriate company, then we ask you to identify the company. Help us answer the question for the residents of our area. Do the residents want to become a city or they don't? Give them the information. As I mentioned before, the biggest concern that people have about becoming a city or not becoming a city is we don't have the data to make an informed decision. The good, the bad, the ugly, whatever it is. Help us get that information. I pay taxes like all these residents do. I'm for spending that small amount of money. There was a few years ago where an issue was brought to the county, and we received some grant money to do a project. Well, the county at that time didn't want to tally up their portion of it, and we lost those several $1 million to do that project. We are revisiting that issue today in the south end of the county. $27,500 is not a lot of money. Please support this initiative from the folks in Navarre. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. This is our last speaker on this subject. Yes, ma'am.
Michelle Tucker, 2742 Noah Jordan Road. I would just like to ask the question, or the comments that have been made by Laura Gallup and this gentleman and the others that favor the straw poll have indicated that the citizens of Navarre have spoken and that this is what they want. I have attended all but the last meeting of these incorporation meetings, and there was only a handful of people there every other week. One week you might have 30 people, the next week you had 10 people or 12 people. I ask you, how does that represent the number of the citizens of Navarre when we have 35,000 residents down there? I don't know what the number is on the petition that they have gathered. I do know that at those meetings it was said it didn't matter if they were property owners, it did not matter if they were registered voters, just get the signatures. Well, each one of you, when you've ran for office, you've had to have petitions signed and those signatures had to be ratified. I asked the county what the procedure is. I received an email that said there was no procedure in place. I asked that you delay or deny this request until after their process can be implemented and until after those signatures can be certified, and then we can move forward in some type of fashion. I'm not against incorporation. I think that we could probably benefit from it. But the process, the educational process that we have experienced thus far is not necessarily presenting the true and whole picture for what we may face as a community. So I ask that you delay or deny this request until the procedures are in place and those signatures on the petitions have been ratified.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman, like always, 50% of the people are for it, 50% of the people are against it. Support the people. I've heard from many people about some of the things I've heard this morning about not having proper procedures in place, people signing petitions who may not be included in what would be considered the possible Navarre city. I probably have a greater concern about the validation of the potential revenue. It says incorporation is financially feasible based on a study done by the Seven Trent group back in November. I don't know of any city that does not have an additional layer of ad valorem taxes to help finance that city. So that's where my biggest concern comes from, is that people are being told you won't have to pay any more taxes. I just don't see how you can run a city like Gulf Breeze, like Milton, even the little town of Jay. They all have an additional layer of ad valorem taxes, and I just don't, I'm afraid that people are being misled when they're being told you won't have to pay any more taxes. So I'm not going to be able to support this at this time until factual information and proper procedures are in place.
Commissioner Cole.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've always told the folks I would certainly support a sales tax straw ballot, or a straw ballot for Navarre Incorporation, excuse me. Perhaps, you know, we're trying to get this thing moving along a little too quickly, and perhaps the question on a straw poll question on the August ballot could rather than say, would you support incorporation, yes or no, it could perhaps be, would you support spending $27,500 of your tax dollars to study incorporation of Navarre? Then you get an answer on both things, whether the citizens are willing to spend their tax dollars If they say no, then it's obvious they are not interested. If they say yes, then it moves forward. But I think either way, if we put a question on the August ballot, it should be first quantified with 10% of the registered voters.
Commissioner Lynch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I hear music. Am I the only one? I support a straw ballot. I do not support it in August. I think it would be more appropriate for the November ballot. In August, you're only going to get 20 to 22% of the residents of Navarre come out and vote. I think in order to get an accurate or more accurate gauge of the level of interest of the citizenry, it should be on the November ballot when you get 2/3 of the people hopefully come out and vote. I think you get a much more representative sample of the people if we hold off and put it on the ballot in November. I don't know that there is any reason to rush and put it on the August ballot versus holding until November. In terms of the feasibility study, my concerns are that we've been presented with this particular vendor who can provide this feasibility study, but we haven't gone out for bid. We haven't done an RFQ. We don't know their qualifications. So I'd be hesitant to approve the feasibility study at this point. Also, I want to get that question answered about the shelf life of the feasibility study. Is it valid if we conduct a study prior to the legislature or prior to the initiative being submitted to the Florida legislature? So we need to make sure that we get that right. We don't want to pay for two feasibility studies. And again, the straw ballot is just a first step. This board can put a straw ballot, my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, we can put a question on the ballot with one petition or 10,000. It doesn't matter. Whatever if we want to gauge the interest of the populace, we can put that question on the ballot. In my mind, there's been enough discussion about incorporation in the VAR over the past so many years that I think it's time to put the question out there. Again, I'm concerned more with timing. I think November is better than August. And then I want to get some more questions answered on the feasibility study before I'm in a position to move forward on it.
Thank you, Commissioner Lynchard. I share those views. My one concern, the straw poll, I have no problems with. I totally respect the right of the citizens to vote, and I support the straw poll. I think maybe your observations about November are pretty spot on. My concern right now is the absence of a position from the Navarre Chamber. You're asking us to fund the full 27.5 without knowing, because they haven't gotten back to you yet. You put the question to them, but you don't know the answer yet. So I don't think it's wise to address that particular part of it. As to the straw poll, I don't have any problems. I think Commissioner Lynchard is correct in his assumption about there's just too many loose ends right now. There's time to tighten them up. But I need a motion from someone.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Lynchard.
I can make the motion to place it on the November ballot. Everyone had an opportunity to review the wording that was contained in the backup.
Commissioner?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
but we need
Move this
something to go to Thursday.
Just want to hammer it down a little bit more.
Yeah, we're going
Ms.
to
Jones?
craft something for Thursday.
I'll be glad to work with supervisor of elections on that wording. It is not in the form of a question as I saw it submitted. It is more of a statement. And I believe we have to submit those things in the form of a question. But I'll be glad to talk to Ms. Gallup about that and the supervisor of elections before Thursday.
Okay.
And as I noted on the agenda, the mechanism that you actually approve is a resolution, and I believe it does include the specific date of the election and the specific question, the ballot language. So we would need to kind of put together a resolution for you to approve on Thursday.
So would we then need a public hearing on the adoption of a resolution, or can we handle that Thursday? On Thursday? Okay.
An ordinance would require.
Okay. So my motion would be to move to Thursday the adoption of
A resolution.
a resolution with wording similar to what's in the agenda, but to be fleshed out by our county attorney and the supervisor of elections to put it in an appropriate form to be considered on the November general election ballot, only in the Navarre precincts. This will not include Holly, expressly stated.
I think we should enumerate the precinct numbers. I think Holly, I heard someone say earlier this morning, is precinct 10. We should specify the precincts and really nail it down so we don't
can have
get
that
any.
for Thursday.
I do believe that's part of the resolution. I think especially if you're not doing it, in other words, a resolution would assume a countywide vote unless I think you specifically call out those precincts in the resolution again. I don't mean to be such a pin-headed bureaucrat about it, but I think that's what you're going to do. You're going to do a resolution in outlining the specifics of what you're calling. So that will include the election, the wording, and the precincts that will vote.
And you can have that for us by Thursday for action.
Well, I hope so.
Okay. All right, then.
And then just exclude anything about the feasibility study at this point,
Exactly.
what you're saying.
Yes. And that was made in the form of a motion, without objection.
We have a motion without objection to,
Mr. Chairman?
1 minute. We've got a different issue we're about to vote on, and legally we have to let the public say something about it. Yes, ma'am.
Sorry about that. But public, I would just like to add the caveat, though, that the wording, we worked that with Representative Broxton's office. So if the supervisor of elections and the county attorney and the administrator, if you would also work that with Representative Broxton so that it meets his approval, because, you know, he is going to be the person that brings it to the state legislature, and we don't want to have any problems with that. And we don't have an issue. If we want to have it on the November ballot, that's fine. It's just that we felt that since that was also our commissioner's election primary on August, that actually we would get more of a turnout for Navarre that date. So you might want to consider that. Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion without objection.
Object. Mr. Chairman, I'm going to
Yes, sir.
object once again because I don't think the information, especially the revenue information, is factual. So I'm not going to object to moving it to Thursday, but come Thursday, I'm going to object.
Mr. Chairman.
Just one moment. Yes, just one moment. So you're looking for clarification from this? I agree with you on the revenue. I just want to know exactly what you're saying. You're just objecting and based on the questionable revenue?
Yes.
All right, I'm sorry. Yes, sir, Commissioner Cole.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to also, I know RMA passed out this benefits to incorporation, but I wanted to identify, was it the citizens, Lori, if you might? Was this developed, is this on a web page that came from your group?
Yes, that's on our website, and that's a result of the Severn Trent study that we funded that identified the revenues that a newly incorporated city in the state of Florida would get. And to answer Commissioner Salter's question about never having heard of any city that ever did not have to have additional ad valorem, Florida is a home rule state, and as such, we're able to govern ourselves and decide what we want in our city, not dictated by what someone says that we have to have. And as a result of being a home rule state and being our own entity, we qualify for a lot of revenues that we currently are not receiving in Navarre. For instance, our franchise fees that we pay to the county, that the county currently receives and goes into the general fund, when we incorporate, if we have that written in our charter, that comes to us now.
Well, see, and that brings up another question. Your comment was you'll get a lot of revenues that we currently don't get. But this entire list here is current revenues the county currently receives. So basically what you're saying is these revenues would no longer go to the county and be dispersed through your Board of Commissioners. They'd go directly to your mayor and city council.
That's correct. Our-
So
our
isn't-
city would
So I
then-
don't want to mislead because it's not new revenues. It's existing revenues just being redistributed.
Okay, it's not new revenue. That's
Okay.
correct.
Well, I mean, it
But there,
sounds,
but there is it's new revenue for the city, because right now it's all going
well,
to the
city
county.
gets no revenue now because there is no city, but.
Right,
I-
but once
it's
there
not-
is a city, we are entitled to those revenues.
Well, yeah, but it's not like this magic bucket's going to open up and, oh, now you're a city, there's all this new revenue stream. This is existing revenues that the county currently distributes.
Yes,
So
and you're
I
not
just-
distributing it to Navarre, and that's our issue. It's being distributed to the rest of Santa Rosa County, and it's not coming to the
Well,
benefit of
And there
Navarre.
again, we,
And yet, we're the ones paying it. So
Okay.
that's our big issue with incorporation. That's why we want to incorporate.
okay. Well, I just want to make sure folks are listening, understand it's not
But-
a new revenue stream.
But there would be new revenue in that we get to have revenue sharing with the state of Florida.
Sure.
That cities get. And then we'd also get our gas taxes.
Sure.
So to us, it's new revenue.
Sure.
To you, it's not new revenue,
No.
but it would be new to us, and then we could use it to our benefit. That's our point for incorporation.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I know we got a vote on the table, but
Yes, sir, we do.
we talk about this revenue coming into the VAR, and, for example, the franchise fee, a large portion of that goes into our transportation fund. So the money that goes into transportation, I mean, we do roads down in the VAR now. So you say that none of that money comes to the VAR, and that's not true. If you incorporated, who would maintain your roads? I mean, you're talking about a budget of $5-something million, and one road can almost cost you that much if you get into like $399.
If I could, please.
The bridge and.
I met with the Roads and Bridges Department, and we could easily take care of our roads.
Okay.
Yes, we can.
Good luck.
Well, first
Wait a
of all,
minute. Wait.
Highway 87,
Whoa, okay. We're going to do this in an organized way, one at a
Okay.
time.
okay.
Go ahead.
Do we really want to discuss all of that? I mean, I believe that someone did bring up a good point. Let's have a public meeting, and let's all get together and talk about it.
But I would assume
Okay.
also that your feasibility study that will go to the legislature will have that. In other words, they'll have, this is the revenue that you'll generate, these are the services that you'll provide, these are the roads that you'll maintain, these are the steps that you'll have to get there. In other words, we'll have to redo an interlocal agreement for the local option gas tax. The other would be an operation of just your charter, and then we'll work out that. But the cost, a portion of the cost is going to go specifically. It's not that you're going to have that money to do what you want to with. You're going to have to look after the roads, because that's what the gas tax is set aside for. You're going to have to decide who's going to do parks, to decide who's going to do any wide number of areas.
All due respect, sir, we're not going to try to settle the details right now.
Right, but I'm just saying that's what a feasibility study would do.
I understand, and I
And
understand.
we
So-
really can't settle the details, and perhaps, Commissioner Salter, we should meet, and I can go over with you some of the facts that we have found, so that you can see where we're coming from.
Okay.
So thank you. I don't want to waste any more time on
Thank you
it.
very much, and we're going to hear one more speaker, Ms. Etta, and then we're
I'll
through.
make it quick. Etta Lawler, 2532 Cedar Crest Lane, Navarre. On this benefits to incorporation, tourist development tax, bed tax, $7,060, that line item right there. I do have a question about that maybe you can get with the budget office, the TDC, by Thursday, to get that question answered. I know that those Florida statutes dictate how you can spend that tax, and I don't think it's maybe necessarily handed right over to county government. Everything has a process where if the city of Gulf Breeze wants to do something, it has to go to the board and then comes to here for a vote. So I just would like to get that number clarified by Thursday. Thank you.
The $760,000 looks pretty accurate, but the statute specifies how bed tax dollars are consumed, so I'm not sure about the ins and outs of that. We have a motion on the board, and we have one objection, so it's time for a roll call vote. I'm not sure we're set up for it, so if you would just...
Commissioner Salter said he was going to object Thursday. He was just
Oh,
surprised.
okay, I stand corrected. You didn't object. All right, so we have a motion with no objection, and I'll move this to Thursday without objection. And item number 2 is discussion of proposed amended and restated lease agreement for the Holly Corp and AmFi investments on Navarre Beach. Mr. Ball.
Mr. Chairman, the sheriff did ask me, and I'm hesitant to jump anybody in front of a meeting today, but the sheriff did ask that he's got 2 items, I believe number 5 and 6, that he's asked that the board take. It's up to the board, but
Absolutely. We, just for the public, so you can keep up with what just happened, we're not moving to item number 2. In deference to the sheriff and his busy schedule, we're going to hear items 5 and 6, which pertain to his operation. Item number 5 is discussion of authorization for an application to the U.S. Department of Justice Byron Memorial Grant local solicitation in the amount of $16,069, and it requires no local match. Mr. Hall, you got some amplification on that?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank y'all for moving me ahead. We're on this pretty tight schedule today, but that's the burn grant that we get annually. It's just a formality we have to go through. The only sad thing about it used to be about 90,000 plus, and now it's down to 16. So, but
okay. Any questions from the commission? I recommend we move this to Thursday without objection. Hearing none, it passes. Item number 6 is discussion of authorization for an application for the 2014 COPS Hiring Program Grant for 9 entry-level law enforcement officers for the Sheriff's Department.
This is the grant that we apply for annually. We've been turned down for like 4 years, and I'm, to be honest with you, I'm not real optimistic that we'll receive it this year. And it's good and it's bad. The reason we don't is because our crime rate's too low, but we certainly could use additional officers. And we would like to, if we do receive them, we'd like to, of course, we've talked about it, and I asked Superintendent Rostick to come. We still feel that we need more school resource officers. As y'all know, we have had to move all of our SROs back to the street due to the fact that we had to give up 20 deputy sheriff's position during the hard times. And we would like to use some of this money, not necessarily all of it, but we'd like to use part of it to put SROs back into to our schools to make them safer. The total cost of this to get, if approved, 9 officers for about $900,000. And you can't even pay for them normally in 1 year for that. So the match, we are obligated to keep them on board for 1 full year at our cost, the 4th year, but there's a 25% match on the first 3 years, which totals, as you see, about $331,271. And then, of course, for the 5th year, I'm sorry, the 4th year, it'd be about $541,590. So all we're asking is that y'all allow us to move forward with this grant application. And then, of course, if for some reason in the future, if we are approved and it's decided by the board that the funding is just not there even for that amount of money, we can always turn the grant down or not accept it. But for us to move forward and submit the application, we do have to have, at this level, we do have to have your vote to support.
I have a question for you, sir.
Yes, sir.
We have no SROs at this time? You made the statement you had to pull them all back in and put them on?
No, we have them in the high schools, Commissioner.
Okay, you said all, and that...
Well, mistake on my part.
Okay.
We have them in the high schools, yes.
Okay, sir.
6 high schools.
But our middle schools and our elementary schools don't?
No middle schools, no elementary, no.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Commissioner Cole. Thought I saw your light on. Commissioner Lynchard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Sheriff. I appreciate you bringing this to the board. I support the application for this grant. I think I have every year that you've brought it forward. I know we've been turned down in the past, maybe 5th, 6th time's the charm. I also would like to see us at some point investigate the possibility of adding more SROs, even if we don't get the grant, because I know right now the school board is paying the full cost of the 5 SROs that we have in our high schools, and we don't have any resource officers in our middle schools or elementary schools. Officer friendly in the middle schools and in the elementary schools is not just there for security, they're there to teach the kids valuable lessons about law enforcement, being a good citizen. So I would like to see us investigate the possibility in this budget cycle of adding a few SROs. I know we won't be able to staff up every middle school and every elementary school with an officer. That would definitely burst the budget. But some rotating officers, I would certainly support.
Well, we have it, like I said, we have a total, plus we do, currently we are splitting the cost of the K-9, the drug K-9 that goes to the schools. But in the event that we could enter back into the agreement with Mr. Rostick and the school board and pay half of the expense, it would actually allow us to double the amount of those officers, pretty much. So that would give us, as opposed to 5, that would give us 10. It also, the agreement we have with him now, he funds them for 9 months, and then we get them another 3 months. That gives us a few extra officers to put on the Bar Beach during the summer, which is something we used to, when we had SROs in all the schools, we had a lot of flexibility in the summer because we could beef up certain areas during the summer in our summer months because of a lot of tourists coming to the area. And we all know our county is growing leaps and bounds, and if we want to maintain our quality of life here, and we want to keep being out of 65 counties, if we want to be the 65th lowest as far as our crime rate, we're certainly going to have to have some more officers, and we're going to have to address some issues in law enforcement. And we've had that discussion, but I think as a whole things are turning around, and I think it's time to start looking at it. So,
thank you, sir.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Cole's next.
Thank you, Sheriff. I'm certainly supporting this. My son Mark, when he was in high school, was under Deputy Hollingsworth when he was up at Milton High School, and I think Commissioner Lynchard's spot on with that. They not only protect our children and keep the bad influence out, but Mark got quite a bit of mentoring through him. So I'd like for us to work and see how we can step up this program.
Commissioner Salter.
Mr. Chairman, I was just going to say I concur, and I think it's time, instead of piecing it together, maybe sit down with the sheriff, sit down with the superintendent, have a representative from our organization, and let's look at those schools, because I know I attended a town hall meeting with the sheriff, unfortunately, after one of the last shootings, and I know there was a lot of interest by people to put those SROs back in those schools. If we have to try to find another source of revenue, that's just, so be it.
I'll agree.
All right.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Sheriff, and I will move approval without objection. I'm sorry. Thank you. I'm Thursday on my mind today. I move this to Thursday without objection. Hearing none, it passes. Ms. Cantu, do you have a remark to make, please?
Sandra Cantu, 9577 Highway 90 East, Milton. I'd like to know how much it costs to provide officers for funerals. Is that a big expense, or is that something where they can save a lot of money?
I'm not sure, and the sheriff has left, but we've had a relatively recent funeral in my family. It's been a few years, and my memory is that you pay yourself for that, just like we pay. These guys are on their own time, and we're paying for them as an additional duty, and I think that comes to you through the funeral home, and is included in the price of your funeral.
Okay, thank you.
And it may well be just a courtesy from the sheriff's office, when he's in the position to do that.
But if they're paying for it, then it costs the county.
If it's paid for it and it costs the county, that the sheriff had room for it. But my memory is when we had to bury my parents, was that we paid for that. It was part of the cost of the funeral was the officers.
Is there a way to check to make sure?
Yes, ma'am, there is. That's my memory, and it may have changed because that's been 7, 8 years now.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. Yes, ma'am. Name and address, please.
Andrew McDermott, 8093 Sleepy Bay Boulevard. I just wanted to answer Ms. Cantu's question because I am familiar. The Sheriff's Department has an after-duties program run by Sergeant Entrikin, and you can hire them at $25 an hour, and part of that goes to the car and the expense that the county incurs, and then a majority of it goes to the officer that works the after-duty. But it is available, and I use it regularly.
Thank you, ma'am, for that clarification. Okay, back to the Administrative Committee. Item number 2 is discussion of proposed amended and restated lease agreement for Holly Corp and Amfi Investments on Navarre Beach. Mr. Walker, you going to lead this, or is Ms. Jones?
Ms. Jones will need to. In your packet is Ms. Jones' email to me on the subject, placing it on the agenda, and then you'll find the proposed amended and restated lease that was provided by the Holly Corp attorney, and I believe Mr. Farley's here to speak to that issue.
Joe, name and address for the record, please, sir.
It's Joe Farley, 1161 Great Oaks Court, Gulf Breeze, Florida. I represent Holly Corp and Amfi Corporation. We're here today just to ask you to reconsider the lease as it's proposed. There was an issue with our tax liabilities. We are waiting for a memorandum from Mr. Nichols outlining the taxes that are owed. Once we get that, we're hoping to get that today. The outstanding taxes and interest will be paid in full. And we'd like to be able to move forward. If you're going to approve this lease, we are in a position to break ground and start the project extremely quickly. So we just ask that you consider the lease as it's been proposed, and so we can move forward.
Thank you very much. And
Questions?
I thought I heard a remark. This is really important. I want to clarify so that we don't have any misconceptions that all the taxes will be paid. That this represents a settlement. For those of you that don't know, there were at least 2 distinctly separate lawsuits regarding the taxation issue on the beach. Holly Corp was not part of the major lawsuit. It was an individual lawsuit, and they have come to an agreement with the taxing authorities, the tax collector and the property appraiser, and they're waiting for a spreadsheet to tell them what their taxes and penalties are, which they intend to pay, and they're asking for restated lease to give them a longer return on investment. And the $1 a year, I think, is something that this board needs to consider very strongly, not just for this one, but for every other citizen out there until we get fee simple. We could not do it before this because there were issues with this particular legal question. If we could have interfered with other, it would have had a cascading effect on some other issues, but those have been cleared up. Thank you very much, Joe.
Thank you.
There's someone behind you. You might be called on to answer a question or concern. Yes, ma'am.
Very happy that the Holly Corp has been able to come to a conclusion. I would request that all leaseholders on the beach have the same conclusion.
Absolutely.
We've been paying, I've paid all my taxes. I don't owe any, and I think $1 a year should be right on my taxes and no percentage of the income.
I could not agree more, and we could not do that until we got past this one.
Okay. Do you know when the board may take that up?
I'll be happy to ask the board right now to take that up in the next set of meetings because we'll need to have a Monday, Thursday deal on it. It's not something you can add midstream. But I will ask that to be on the next set of agendas because I think that's the fair equitable thing to do. And as a matter of fact, when the public elected me in 2010, that was one of the commitments I made, that I would work toward $1 a year lease, if you remember that.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
Andrew McDermott, A093 Sleepy Bay Boulevard. I appreciate you working on that, reducing the lease fee so that it's fair and equitable to everybody is important to everyone in Navarre and Navarre Beach. I know that on Okaloosa Island, when they went to fee simple, they didn't just arbitrarily, or they didn't just go across the board and make it so. You have to go before them and pay a fee. I believe it's almost $1,000 to get rid of your lease agreement on your property or to change your lease agreement. So when you do this, maybe you can make it more affordable.
That was a totally separate piece of legislation. This piece of legislation contains a prohibition on any act like that.
Okay. I wasn't sure. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
I'm sorry. Yes, sir, Commissioner Lynchard.
I agree that's something that we need to investigate in terms of where we go from here. Now that the fee simple, or not fee simple, the taxability question has been answered. I don't think it's finalized yet. There are still some loose strings out there. I don't know that we need to single out any particular property and renegotiate their lease to $1 without dealing with all of them. I think if we do that, we're going to open up Pandora's box with the leases out there. And then if something were to happen with the lawsuit that's still under review, at least, where are we at that point? So I think we need to get all of the information on the table.
Do you have a problem with asking the staff to bring that issue back for the next set for the committee hearing on Monday next meeting? It's pretty clear cut. We can wait and do it 2 weeks from now, but what's the point? I mean, dropping the lease fee to $1 is the only fair and equitable thing. It doesn't interfere with anything, and refreshing the lease to 99 years is it's going to refresh itself unless someone takes steps not to. None of us will be alive at that point, probably.
And my point is, we need to have all of that information in front of us when we make the decision.
Well,
so if staff can bring that back at the next set of meetings, that'll be fine with me.
So you're objecting to what portion of this? The $1 a year portion of it? We're dealing right now with Holly Court.
Yes, that is correct. That is correct.
Yeah, we're dealing right now with Holly Court.
Yep. But if we're going to renegotiate their lease to $1 per year, I think we need to.
Well,
look at every property.
I want everybody's done too, but the point I'm making with you is that theirs is before us right now. We've asked the staff to bring everybody else that is in the same boat that these people are. These people are fixing to pay their taxes, okay? So they're not going to owe us a nickel. They're going to have a clean slate. They're going to pay all their taxes, and I don't think it's unreasonable to ask for $1 a year lease fee and a refresher. And I think it's only fair and equitable to offer that same deal to anybody else out there that's in the same boat, whose taxes are current. It's unconscionable not to offer it to them.
Mr. Chairman?
But I don't see the need to separate the two. Commissioner Cole?
I agree 100% with Commissioner Lynchard that, one, if they want, don't have a problem if they want to renew their lease at this time because they're going to make an investment. I don't have a problem with that. Their lease fee needs to stay the same as it is, because once this board works through the idea of moving this to $1 and we finalize things, then theirs would automatically fall just like the rest of them would at that point. Am I correct on that? I mean, in other words, if in 6 months or a year from now this board finalizes, and it's all out of court, that the citizens out there will have to pay ad valorem tax, so well, no, sir, it hasn't been settled. It still could be questioned. So, and at that time, this board decides to lower everybody's lease fee to $1, they would fall right in line, right?
Yeah. Ms. Jones?
So why we don't need to do it today?
Ms. Jones?
I'm not entirely certain I followed all that. I will say this board doesn't get to decide about taxation. That's being litigated. And my understanding last I talked, or last I got any word from the property appraiser tax collectors, there were a few years they still needed to look at. You all can decide about leases one way or the other. You can do them all in a bunch, you can do them individually, that kind of thing. But we can look, as Commissioner Lynchard was maybe suggesting, we can gather up some more information for the next set of meetings or as quickly as we can get it together if you wanted to look at doing them all.
And I guess I'll make it simple. Rather than putting it in this contract today, we just wait until we do it for everybody, period.
To put it to the dollar a year. But I would like a clarification because Commissioner Cole stated that the taxation issue's not been settled. And my understanding is the Supreme Court of the State of Florida has ruled there may be an appeal to that.
Right.
In, is that the case?
That's my understanding. I think.
I know there's been talk and consideration by the leaseholders of an appeal, but I'm not sure they've actually filed an appeal.
I'm unaware of one. I think Mr.
So unless
Walker
they
may have
appeal,
the
it's a
latest
settled
update.
issue.
When the litigation settled, the portion that settled before, you remember I was going to ask the property appraiser and property tax collector to come brief the board. They had some concern with that because apparently, I guess 1 year had been litigated. It's my understanding that there are 2 or 3 different years that have been litigated, and so I believe that's what Mr. Lynchard's talking about. Commissioner Lynchard's talking about as far as the loose ends. I mean, I don't know that the litigation has been finalized.
Well, that doesn't impact this issue right here. So these folks are fixing to pay theirs and get their bills zeroed out. Well, and I know, and they want to have their lease renewed, and they want $1 a year. If you don't want the $1 a year, then we can modify that. We need to. These folks are fixing to make a multi-million-dollar investment.
As they should. I mean, it's 4 years, 5 years too late.
It's not too late.
As far as I'm concerned.
Well, as far as you're concerned.
Well, yeah, it's my opinion that, over the last 6 years, the citizens of Santa Rosa County have been out almost $1 million in gross receipts that this hasn't, that's just sat out there idle. So the other problem I have with this lease is I don't see anywhere in the renewed lease where the citizens of Santa Rosa County are going to get 5% room rental, or 3% above $25,000 of gross receipts, or 2% of food and beverage. I don't see any of those items in this new lease. So my question is, are they going to be included in the new lease, or have they been overlooked, or are the citizens not going to get those dollars as they should?
I think you're looking at a written offer.
And I don't see those
Well,
things.
what are you
in
reading
there.
from?
All this backup?
Yes, sir, and that backup tells you that that's what they're willing to do.
Yeah, so I'm just making sure
Okay.
I didn't miss something, and evidently I didn't. So not only are they asking for $1 a year for their whole lease, they no longer want to pay the 5% of gross receipts. They no longer want to pay 2% of food and beverage. They no longer want to make a minimum annual payments. I don't see where that's beneficial to the citizens of this county when we're asking citizens to pitch in a penny to build a courthouse that we need. We're leaving money on the table that's owed to the citizens. It's my feeling that, when I read that old contract from years ago, it says build, maintain, and operate a motel, which in 10 years, it hasn't been happening. And so take away 4 or 5 years to get this thing rebuilt, there's still 5 or 6 years that there's been no income from this property other than lease fees or now ad valorem taxes paid into this gross or sales tax.
May I interrupt you with a question? I think we can clear it up. Ms. Jones, would you please speak to your email? You're the one that wrote it. The way I read the email was that they were asking for 2 things. They wanted $1 a year as a lease fee. They wanted their lease refreshed to a full 99 years so they get the longer return on their investment. And these other points that you laid out are in there, but they have asked for no relief from them. So all they're asking for is just those 2 items is the way I read that.
Yes, sir.
Is that correct or incorrect? Would you just set it straight?
Their old lease required 5% of room rental up to 25, 3% above 25, 2% of food, beverage, ancillary facilities, minimum of $11,000. None of that is included in the new request. They want to pay $1 a year and be refreshed for 99 years.
Okay? And that's the biggest thing going, and probably be the biggest hotel in Santa Rosa County, definitely the biggest thing in South Santa Rosa, and it's going to generate a lot more money than this. You're looking at nickels and dimes here, I think, unless you're just personally opposed to having the hotel come back.
I don't have any objection to hotel come back. Like I say, I think it should have been there 5 years ago, come back. But, this, we've got Juana's out there that pays this. We got a convenience store out there that pays this. I don't see, I hope it grows exponentially and stays booked every day of the year once they're open. So the citizens of Santa Rosa County can get 5% of every one of them rooms that they rent, as they should. In fact, in 99, this corporation came to the board and asked to lower that percentage, which we did, because if we would do that, they would build 50 more rooms. Those 50 other rooms were never built, but we did lower the gross receipts. So we need to take a good hard look at this. This could be, several $100,000 a year income that if Navarre incorporates, that money goes into those coffers. If they don't, that's money the citizens of Santa Rosa County are entitled to from that piece of property being out there. So that's just my feeling. We don't leave money on the table. Even though you feel like it's nickel dimes, we need all the nickel and dimes we can get.
Yes, sir. We have a speaker. Yes, ma'am. You have to turn your light on. Right-hand button.
I'm Ira Mae Bruce. I'd like to speak on behalf of all the leaseholders at Navarre Beach. We have been under taxes, leases, percentages for years, and it's delayed a lot of properties from being developed at Navarre Beach. I would think that if we are paying taxes, which we are due, that we should be just like all the other citizens of Santa Rosa County. We should pay exactly the same amounts that they do, taxes based on what our property values are, and $1 a year just to keep the establishment of the leasehold situation correct. It's hard to bring people to Navarre Beach for business. We have a number of business locations, but when a restaurant, for instance, or a hotel, for instance, has to pay more for percentages of their gross and all the other things they have to pay, they can't compete with the businesses on the mainland, which just pay ad valorem taxes. I'd like to see Santa Rosa County be taxed across the board exactly the same, based on the value of the property. Thank you.
I couldn't agree more. This is not business-friendly policy. It's punitive in nature. This was set up a long time ago when there was absolutely nothing coming in, and it was the wisdom of the board at that time. I think it's a business killer. RMA laid it out very succinctly. We're not in the business of penalizing folks. I think we're in the business of trying to grow the economy of Santa Rosa County. This is going to be a real boost in the arm. Would you turn your mic off? We get feedback. Thank you. So I would urge you to give careful consideration to it. Commissioner Cole, do you have a comment?
I do. I don't have a problem with this, just like I don't with the $1 lease, but we don't do it just at a meeting on a one-time situation. We sit down, we discuss this, we get through it all, and if we feel like the 5% or 3% or any of that is a business killer, then we sit down and come up with a board policy for all the businesses that are out there that fall under this. We don't do it knee-jerk reaction. We don't, this is the first I've seen of this and studied it. I don't have a bit of problem with it. We make it as business-friendly as we got and want, but we do it as a board policy, not one-on-one specific to.
And I'll be happy to help make that happen. This is a Republican county, and this is a Republican-elected board, and some of them are sounding like Democrats right now. But
Mr. Chairman, I'm just going to let's rein it in just a bit. My concern here is the overall fiscal impact to the county. You know, can you tell me right now the dollar amount of leases on Navarre Beach?
No, sir, can you tell me?
No, I can't, and
I
that's
don't know.
my problem.
Yeah.
I need to know that number before I vote on it. So I'd like to hold off. Let's get that question answered by staff, and then we can revisit this issue.
Okay, then I'll move this to Thursday for final disposition without objection.
I'm going to object.
Okay?
You know, we're not going to, I don't see how we could finalize it on Thursday without having all the information available before then.
Okay, we have a motion, and it was moved without objection. We have an objection. I may have misstated that, though, because what we need to have is the staff word. So I will pull the motion, and would the staff bring us, and this may be in 2 weeks, bring us the data in 2 weeks, and in 2 weeks, we will undertake to look at everybody's lease fee dropping to $1 who is in the same tax situation that HollyCorp is in, that has paid, cleared their books, and cleared and ready to go, and take a hard look, or revisit the, in the 70s probably was deemed necessary, but now getting in the pocket of the business owner who's trying to compete with mainland businesses for a portion of their profits. I think we need to take a serious, hard look at that. And we will hold this item until the next series of meetings. And staff, do we have a good grip on what we would like to see now? You'd like
Good
to
as always. Yeah, I mean, I would assume that would be we'll have you the number on the commercial leases.
The commercial leases.
And what that number is, and I guess residential
That's right.
too, all the leases.
Commercial leases, leases across the board, the residential leases, the commercial leases, those whose taxes are current. And where it is a commercial lease, if there happens to be some of the percentages of their gross or net or whatever, then I'd like to take a hard look at those. Okay? We will hold this item over to the next set of meetings. And at this time, we'll take, yes, sir.
Just for clarification, then, what you're concerned with is what refers to in item 12, which is taxes and assessments clarification, that we will pay any gross receipts tax that had been previously been paid in the prior lease. Is that the issue, Commissioner Cole?
I don't have, hang on, I don't have an item 12. I go from 10 to 15.
On the administrative committee?
I'm talking about it in the lease.
I think that is exactly
In the
issue
proposed
that we're
lease.
talking about, yes.
Right, okay. And I'll have to go back to the attorney to get clarification on that, but I believe our intent was that any future taxes that were required would be paid in full as required. But I'll get a clarification on that for next week's meeting.
Just since you came up, if I might, sir.
Yes.
I want to see you build the hotel. Like I say, I feel like we really should have had it built sooner, but it's.
We understand that.
You know, time, but let's water under the bridge. Let's get it built. I just don't feel it's fair for us to do any of this as an incentive. You shouldn't need an incentive. You should be out there building a hotel because you've got the greatest incentive of the world. You got the largest piece of property on the Gulf in Santa Rosa County. That's all the incentive it should take. If, in fact, this board feels like $1 per year lease is fair, whether it takes us 6 months to work through that, or 6 weeks, or a year, whatever, I don't have a problem with that. I'll be glad to get those discussions going forward. And if we decide that these percentage of gross are a business killer, that's something we don't want to do in the future, again, you'll be relieved of those. But I don't feel like they should be in your current request for an extension of another 99 years. I'm all for giving you a 99-year extension or extend that because you're going to make a big investment.
It is
I understand
sizable,
that.
yes.
I understand that. So knowing you have that property, I don't have a problem with that. Sir, I have the floor.
Yes, sir, you do, and I'd like you to make your point.
Well, my point is, go ahead and build a hotel. Let's get going on it. If these things fall in place for everybody out there, they're going to fall in place for you too. That's my point.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. We'll take 5 minutes and we will reconvene. Okay. We'll pick back up where we left off. Item number 3 on administrative is discussion of a resolution approving issuance of revenue bonds for financing, refinancing water and sewer improvements by the Holly Navarre Water Systems Incorporated. Mr. Walker, are you going to present this?
Mr. Chairman, in your packet there.
Well, ma'am, that's not the way we do business. Just wait a minute, please, ma'am. We'll recognize you when we get. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, this is the request from the Holly Navarre water system, and then you'll see for a resolution. You got an email from Ms. Bell, who is with Ken Walker, and the resolution for issuance, so that it will empower them to issue revenue bonds for which the county is not liable. They may want to speak to that. I mean, it's just kind of a standard.
Any comments from the board, questions from the board? I recommend we move this to Thursday without objection. Hearing none, it passes. Ms. Cantu, you had a question?
Sandra Cantu, 9577 Highway 90 East, Milton. Yes, I had a question about the last thing you were talking about the leases. I admit my ignorance. I don't have any idea what you're talking about, but I'd like to find out some information about it. Where could I go to do that? Who would have information on it?
Ms. Jones, where's the best place to prefer to begin to look for that?
Those leases are maintained by the clerk's office. I'm not sure which question is, but the clerk's office has a great deal of information on the leases. Can you give me quickly maybe tell me what your question is, and I might help a bit further?
Where can I get a dollar lease? And I'm not trying to be a smart aleck. I'm just saying, I hear something about $1 a year lease.
I understand your question now. Back in the early 60s, when I was still in high school, this was Santa Rosa County Island Authority, I guess, prior to the Board of County Commissioners do it. Santa Rosa County Island Authority, which is no longer in existence, issued 99-year leases to owners, and they leased the lots out on the beach, and all those leases have been sold. They're in various hands, and the courts have ruled that there'd be tax now just like a regular deed, like a warranty deed, like our warranty deeds are taxed. They're going to be taxed that way after a very, very lengthy court battle. And because there is a lease fee in place right now until that totally settles out, the courts have ruled, but they're still probably, I'll yield to the attorneys in the room, I don't know how long it's going to take before we see fee simple, a year or so or more. And so what we were discussing was in that interim time, dropping their fee to $1 since they're now required to pay full taxes just like everybody else. And that's what that was about.
And where can I get more information about that?
Oh, probably from property appraiser's office, Mr. Brown's office, Mr. Greg Brown's office, right here in this building.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Wallace Mahout, 5500 Cox Road, Milton, Florida. I don't have a question, I just have a comment, Mr. Melvin. I was really disappointed when you brought the lease issue and made it a party issue, Democrat or Republican. You said it's starting to sound like somebody's starting to sound like a Democrat. And I was surprised that you of all people said that. I don't agree. The lease issue is not a Democratic issue or a Republican issue. It is a citizen issue. So
I agree.
I just ask you to keep that in mind in the future. Thank you.
Yeah, you're taking it out of context. I was referring to the taxation side of the question, which us Republicans are inherently loath to endure. So I was speaking to that, not to anything else. I was speaking to the tax issue, which, as you know, 98.5% of us Republicans think the minimum tax required is the way we should do business. But I take your comments under advisement, and I thank you for them.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Item number 4, discussion of expansion of school district swimming, discussion of expansion of school district summer food program to include Optimist Park, Benny Russell Park, Florida Town Park, Patriot Park, and McAllister Park. Backups in the book. I move this to Thursday without objection.
Mr. Chairman? Yeah,
Commissioner Cole.
gentleman to speak right here.
I'm sorry, have my head down. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, if I could just explain the program real
Sure.
quick.
Would you give us your name and address for the record?
My name is Bill McMahon. I live at 4447 Elsie Lane in Milton. I am also the Senior Operations Manager and Executive Chef for Santa Rosa County Schools Food Service Department. Basically, over the summer, Santa Rosa County Schools participates in a summer food program sponsored by the Florida Department of Agriculture. Our program runs from June 2nd to August 28th. This summer, we will have 2 sites open to the public, one at Milton High and one at Pace High School. Basically, at these sites, we provide a free breakfast and lunch to anybody 18 or under. Last year, we started a mobile feeding program, and I worked in conjunction with the Milton Community Center with John Norton and Lindsay Williamson. So with that, we ran it. Our first year doing the program, we used Carpenter's Park and Russell Harbor. Between the 2 parks, we were providing free lunches to about 60 kids a day. Our summer lunches consist of a cold sandwich, fresh fruit, 100% fruit juice, and a milk. There we go. With approval, I'd like to expand the program into 5 parks managed by the county. And the 5 parks I have highlighted in yellow, which would be Benny Russell, Patriot Park, Florida Town, McAllister Park, and Santa Villa Park. When we go out into the parks with the food, all our meals are provided in a clearly marked school district vehicle, as you can see in the picture here. The staff that will be serving the meals will be in a school district polo shirt and then also have valid school district ID. So with approval, our program starts on June 2nd, and I'd like to go ahead and start providing meals in the parks. Any questions?
Commissioner Lynchard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for the presentation. I think it's a great program. My only question would be, are you thinking about expanding into the south end of the county?
The only problem is, not really a problem, but we're governed by the Florida Department of Agriculture, and the meal that we're providing is free, and we have to go by the guidelines set with the Department of Agriculture. Basically, I can set up what we call a summer food site with a 50% or greater free and reduced rate. So the kids that are going to the schools in Santa Rosa, whether they apply for the free and reduced meals, it has to be 50% or greater for me to go ahead and open the site. Then there's a couple other conditions in there with the mobile feeding. I can travel in a 5-mile radius of that site and provide meals. Navarre was actually a site that we looked into. One of the ladies at the Department of Agriculture, we got an email a couple months back saying they would recommend a site in Navarre, just due to the amount of, I'm not sure if you're familiar with SNAPS applications, which is for food stamps and other assistance. But once we got some clarification on it, it was only a recommendation, but we still have to follow the same guidelines about being 50% free and reduced or higher.
And none of our schools in the south end qualify for that?
No, sir, they don't. I think the highest is about 42%.
Okay, all right. Well, I appreciate you looking into that, and let's keep an eye on that. I know we have a lot of needy and deserving people down in the south end of the county as well, but I certainly understand
Yes, sir,
the guidelines that you're working under. Thank you.
That's something we looked into, but my hands are kind of tied on that.
Commissioner Cole, you have a comment?
Thank you. Bill, thanks very much for this. I know the kids in East Milton really benefit a lot from this. I've been following the program along. Just really need. It'd be nice, Commissioner Lynchard, if none of our schools had to have this. That'd be a good thing, but we certainly appreciate you extending this program, and thanks very much for that.
All right, thank you all for your time.
Mr. McMahon, Hunter Walker, is the list that you had in your PowerPoint, of the parks differed from the list that you sent on the email, and I generated the email, the agenda based on your email. Just, when you get back to your office, just confirm which parks you're requesting and send me that email.
Yes, sir, I have that in front of me, and that is correct. So the parks that are managed by the county, from my information, will be Benny Russell Park, Patriot, Florida Town, McAllister, and Santa Villa. What I put in the presentation is basically a schedule. I'll be running would like to run 3 mobile food trucks. I'm also going to still do 4 parks in Milton, which would be Carpenter's Park, Russell Harbor, Lucille Johnson Park, and Optimus Park.
And you'll be dealing with the city of Milton?
Yes, sir. I've already got approval from the city manager and John Norton.
I got you. I just changed my list. I'm just trying to get my list to match yours. Thank you, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. It's a great
very much for your
program. I move approval without objection. I'm sorry, move to Thursday without objection. Hearing none, it passes. Items 5 and 6 have been disposed of. Item number 7 is discussion of a contract with Warren Averett / O'Sullivan Creel for an independent audit services pursuant to state and federal requirements. Backup has the details. I recommend we move this to Thursday without objection. Hearing none, it passes. Item number 8 is discussion of appointing 2 commission members and 1 private property owner to the 2014 Value Adjustment Board. I would like the staff to provide us a list if there is anything kind of like a KP roster of who's already had their turn and who is anxiously awaiting the opportunity.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Mitchell.
Commissioner Salter and myself are serving on the canvassing board this year. That leaves 2.
Well,
yeah, I'm not sure the dates of the Value Adjustment Board.
Yeah.
But it'll be during August and September, typically, with
Okay.
a final wrap-up meeting
Right.
in October. And in the past, we had, I'm not sure who served last year on that.
Mr. Young.
Mr. Young served in the past on the Value Adjustment Board.
okay. I don't know, can we draft him?
Mr. Chairman, I'll volunteer to go ahead and serve as one of the commissioners, and I'll get in touch with Mr. Young between now and Thursday's meeting.
Okay, and looks like I probably need to stick my hat in for the other one as well. So let's make that Commissioner Cole, Commissioner Melvin, and we'll invite Mr. Young. If he decides he's had all the fun he can stand, we'll just have to come up with someone else. I recommend we move this to Thursday without objection. Hearing none, it passes. Item number 9 is discussion of a list of county-owned property which could be offered for sale. If you remember, I'd asked the staff to prepare a listing of the holdings in Santa Rosa County that there's just an awful lot of land. Some of it is needed, some of it is not needed, and we asked them to review that. And I'd ask you to go over this list between now and Thursday. My impression would be that if we have scrubbed it down thoroughly and we've satisfied ourselves that we're not holding it in anticipation of a public need, that we put it out for bids and let the public offer prices on it, and we can take the prices or not take the prices, but see if there's any interest from the public. Commissioner Cole.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is something I've been pushing along for years now. We've sold several pieces, but when I look at this list, there's quite a few things that I would like staff to kind of maybe pull off here. You know, we're looking at, kind of, make our job a little easier. I mean, here's Veterans Memorial, behind the courthouse, probation department. Maybe narrow this down to something that
just to the
these
sale recommendations.
Yes,
only.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I agree with that comment. You've identified a lot of property, but Could we see this again with just the sale recommendations from the staff? And
We can,
that'd make it a
and-
little easier to deal with.
And really, the sale recommendation, as I tried to say, was that's just the fact that we don't have I believe Public Works had reviewed that, and there's no Public Works need for that. But yeah, I don't know that I could have that. Would you give me 2 weeks on that, and
Sure,
let's come down
sure.
to
There's
it?
no rush. We want
There
to
are a
get it
couple of-
right.
As I had noted, you've already sold the Birmingham Drive piece, and that's what a lot of these are going to be. But I'll get you a complete list, and this is a little cumbersome. We'll do it on just the regular
Yeah,
page.
just break it down to what the staff, in their opinion, it's not needed for public purpose, and then we'll deal with that. And if you'll bring us that in a couple of weeks, we'll just pull this and look forward to seeing it in a couple of weeks. Item number 10 is discussion of designating Commissioner Cole as a credentialed delegate to the 2014 annual NACO business meeting. Backup is in the book. I recommend we move this to Thursday without objection.
Mr. Chairman, just a quick comment.
Yes, sir.
It's extremely important for all Florida counties, hopefully, to get involved this year. Excuse me. Because we do have a county commissioner from Leon County that's running for second VP. So without having a delegate there, our vote don't count, our voice don't count. So that's why I want to make sure we are involved with NACO.
Thank you, sir. I recommend we move this to Thursday without objection. Hearing none, it passes. Item number 11 is discussion of rescheduling Monday, June the 9th, 2014, pre-budget workshop to Tuesday, June the 10th, 2014 at 1:30 p.m. due to a conflict with the local Restore Council meeting. I recommend we move this to Thursday without objection. Hearing none, it passes. Item number 12 is discussion of scheduling public hearing on the following proposed ordinances: establishing a street lighting municipal services benefit unit, otherwise known as MSBU, for Foxborough, Diamond Creek, Longview, Pace Mill Creek, and Ashley Plantation; establishment of a paving, water, sewer MSBU for Ponderosa subdivision; and establishment of a subdivision improvements MSBU for Hidden Forest subdivision. I recommend we move these to Thursday without objection. Hearing none, it passes. Item 13 is the public hearing scheduled for 9:30 a.m. Thursday, May the 22nd, would be the issue of vacation of Lot 4, Block 3, Florida Town Edition, Section 23, Township 1 North, Range 29 West, Santa Rosa County. I recommend we move this to Thursday without objection. Hearing none, it passes. Item number 14 is County Administrator on a FEMA issue. Mr. Walker.
Email from Escambia County is they are, their board had taken action to request the state of Florida absorb the entire 25% local match for the recently declared flooding event, and have asked that we join in like fashion. And I'll hopefully have you a letter by Thursday, and we'll.
Very good. Okay, we look forward to that. That concludes the administrative committee. Next is engineers report. Mr. Blaylock.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our item number 1 is a companion to the EDO item, is a discussion of the Industrial Park Rail Spur rehabilitation. If you can project my screen. What you see here is the old rail spur that has been in existence since the 80s, as well as a portion that goes, the county-owned portion going into the Anderson Columbia site. CSX has locked us off at the switch right here, anticipating replacing some rotten ties. We did a number of years ago, about 10 years ago, we did a partial rehab, and as time goes, we go back through. And so what we're asking for is authorization to go with the lowest quote for 205 new ties, 33 switch ties, and then 80 on the other. And I've got 2 quotes from 2 rail contractors. WJ Sapp is the apparent low bidder at $48,175, and we'd make that recommendation on Thursday.
Commissioner Cole.
Mr. Chairman, just clarification, this will come out of economic development funds?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
industrial park funds, yes. Okay.
Okay, I recommend we move this item to Thursday without objection. Hearing none, it passes.
And then item number 2, Mr. Walker asked us to put on is a discussion of the North End solid waste franchise areas. And it's attachment B in your backup. Did you want to discuss this, Mr. Walker?
Yes, I mean, we've got the request for proposal ready to go. It's ready to be transmitted. The one thing we have not finalized is the area or areas. And then you see the options that he's got. That particular orientation there is a north-south orientation. I believe was that where with the
We have 3 of the north-south, which is what the board had directed us to look closely at. This one divides at about half of the area. This one essentially uses Highway 182, and then this one moved it further into the urban area at Quintet, Berry Hill, Stewart Street. And we can modify it anywhere along there that the board would like, but we provided 3 alternatives, and you see the breakout of the number of residences of each particular alternative.
That excludes the city of Milton, though?
Oh, yes, sir. All incorporated areas are excluded from the franchise area and military bases.
Commissioner Lynch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the maps. I would like to add one more into the mix, and that's just, I thought we'd spoken about this before, one that covered the entire northern franchise area as a whole. So right now we have 2 haulers operating in the south end. I would like to have one option out for bid in the north end of the county that would be all of the areas that are not currently franchised. So the entire north end of the county as one option that we'll receive bids on. And then beyond that, I like the 182 also. I mean, that seems to be that provides a good stark north-south divider. You do have you have a large disparity in the number of structures covered by the haulers, so we can expect a substantial, I would think, or significant in any way, cost differential between the 2 bids. But then the other option, having the entire north end of the county opened up, might give a better price for most concerned.
Commissioner Salter, what's the attitude? What's the feeling, the rumblings in your end of the county?
Well, we had town hall meetings up in Jay, and I think kind of like East Milton, they want to try to protect their little local haulers as much as possible. And I was going to ask Commissioner Lynch, when you say the entire north end, what would that include?
That would basically be all of the county that is not currently franchised. So everything north of Yellow River, I guess, is where
all unincorporated areas. North.
All unincorporated areas north of Yellow River. What that would do, when they're submitting their bids, they're going to be submitting a bid for 33 houses, and the person on the outskirts of Jay, because inside the municipal limits of Jay, they're going to be able to retain their existing hauler. But somebody who lived just outside of Jay would pay the same rate as somebody that lived in Hammersmith in Pace. So that would be one option. And then I think we also need to have another option out on the table for the haulers to bid on.
It's Commissioner Salter's district, but I've got a lot of relatives that live up there. I don't know that there are a lot of people that dispose of their garbage in a legally acceptable manner now, and I'm not trying to meddle in your business, Don, but what's the mood of the public? I mean, to service that area, the distance between pickups is going to be big, and that's going to drive the cost up. And if we're aggravating the citizens of that part of the county by including them in it, I mean, I just think we need to look at that. I'm not opposed to what you're saying. I'm just suggesting that perhaps we need to,
Well, this doesn't go to, if I could, Don, this doesn't go to, this doesn't put any requirements on those individual citizens that's any different from the maps that are already in here. What this would do is the person in J, in all practical purposes, they would end up getting a lower price if we do the entire north end of the county, because those pickups where there's 2 miles between houses is going to be lumped in with 10 houses on a street. So that gives a lower rate for the people in the rural area, probably a higher rate because it's going to be a blend for the people in the more urban areas along Highway 90. But that at least lets us see what the price would be if we went countywide or north of the entire north area wide.
So your recommendation is just offer that as part of the bid package and see what the price looks like?
That's right. We want them to give us a price. Basically, say we pick the 182 as the line of demarcation, they're going to give us a price for picking up garbage north of 182. That's going to be one proposal. The second proposal would be a price for picking up all of the garbage south of 182 down to the Yellow River. And then the third option is going to be a price if they service the entire north end of the county.
Mr. Chairman, I don't have a problem with looking at that as an option.
Mr. Chairman.
And when the numbers come back, we'll make a decision.
Commissioner Cole.
Thank you. And just want to make sure the caveat's still in there that anybody that wants to retain their existing service, they'll be grandfathered in. We discussed that before.
Only as to the hauler haulers who service less than 400 customers and operate vehicles less than 26.
Yeah, 1,600.
26 tons.
Yeah, something
or 26,000 pounds. GVR.
I just want to make sure, whatever the caveat is, that we don't lose track of that.
Yeah, the exemption that we had spoken about before would still be in place.
The one for East Milton would apply.
Yeah, that would still be in place. I'm going to argue against myself just for a minute. Just to throw this out there, the third option that was presented, where you use Quintet Road, Berry Hill to Stewart to Highway 90, that's going to give you a lower price in that southern part of the north end of the county, because that's where all of the concentration of people, you've got 20,000, 21,000 residents there in a fairly tight area, and 12 in the rural area. But again, I think we'd make it too complicated. So I like the 182 as the dividing line. Let's put that on the proposal, or the request for proposals, and then the other option would be if they service the entire north end of the county. 182.
Highway
and then
182.
The entire north end of the county. Schmuckler Crossroads.
Okay. Can you put that in the form of a motion to move forward to Thursday? Ms. Cantu, are you wanting to address this issue? Yes, ma'am. Name and address for the record, please.
Sandra Cantu, 9577 Highway 90 East, Milton. Is this going to be a requirement that people use the garbage service?
No, ma'am.
And may I suggest you might ask for input from the people as to where else they can take garbage. For instance, if they would rather service the whole of this road, and then what they would offer it for. For instance, in one area there might be just below the road that you delineated, 182, there might be a few houses that are very close to that. It would be very easy for the garbage hauler to take these extra few houses instead of having one person taking all of those and then something else.
I understand, and bear in mind, this is a line that's 30 some odd miles long, probably, that we have to come up with. So that's our general line of demarcation. Now, when the haulers get in there, you'll see the line up on the.
But if you offer the bidders to make additional pickups for maybe just a little bit more, then that you might end up better for the customer.
Mr. Cantu, let me Mr. Chairman, if I might, make sure I understand you. Like say if you live on the south side of the line, so you're going to be involved with a hauler,
Right.
I don't think we would object if the hauler went to the north side of the line, even if it was a half a mile or a quarter mile north, and said, hey, folks, we just got this franchise. We're going to be running here, and here's a price we can give you. We won't exclude them from that ability to do that. I don't see why we would.
There probably would be a few instances where you have a home that would be more easily, say we have 182 as the line, and Company A is servicing north of 182, Company B is servicing south of 182. If Company A, the one servicing the north end of the county, has a lot of houses on one street, and then there's one house at the end of that street that dips down into service area B, then it would make sense for them to service that particular home.
Right.
I think that's something that the haulers can work out amongst themselves.
And we had to work out a few little streets when we franchised the south end so that a single hauler got the entire street. You didn't take the first half of the street and I take the latter half of the street. So we worked that out among a dozen houses or so.
And now, are they allowed to go to the house itself, or do they have to pick up on the highway?
No, they can offer back or side door pickup.
Okay.
As an
Thank you.
option.
Thank you.
Commissioners, the second alternative, which was basically half of the geographic area, while it added 800 more in the northern end, if you can project on my screen, it limited going along major roadways. So both sides of like 182 would be in the north end on this particular alternative if you wanted to consider that. And it more or less takes the section line through the county.
How much time do you anticipate needing to resolve this question? Are we going to try to deal with this Thursday, or are you?
That would be our recommendation.
Yeah. I think they're just waiting on us to pick an area. And if that makes more sense, Roger, I don't have any problem with that hypothetical dividing line. Yeah, because we wouldn't want someone picking up the north side of 182 and a different hauler picking up the south side. So I'm fine with this particular service map. Everybody see that up there?
Mr. Chairman?
Commissioner Salter.
My only concern with that is I like for it to be easy for people to understand where that line is. And if you use 182, it's pretty obvious where it is. Can we include some language that says 182 is dividing line and or any immediate house that fronts 182? That would, and now I think we could accomplish what we want to, but I like the idea of having something very visible. Because when people call me and go, what area am I in? I don't want to go find the section line.
One of the services we would provide is someone provide us an address through our GIS. It'll actually go to the map and tell you which area you're in, regardless of where you draw the line. So we have that capability of telling them interactively where they are located.
Okay, I recommend we move this to Thursday without objection.
Moving to Thursday, the franchise map option number 2, where 182 is the dividing line, with the amendment that would include any houses that border 182. So both sides of 182 are serviced by the same hauler. And then that would be option 1, 2, and then the third option would be a hauler that services the entire north end of the county.
Do so without
objection. To
Hearing none,
Thursday.
it passes. Item number 3 is discussion of approval of paved road and drainage maintenance for the New Haven Estates, a 23-lot subdivision, a portion of Section 12 Township 2 South, Range 27 West, Santa Rosa County, Florida, Working District 5, and that's Attachment C, New Haven Boulevard, 1,328 linear feet, more or less.
This is an item that could come before the board. They've been on several Mondays. They're working diligently in hopes to have a recommendation for Thursday.
Okay, so we'll just continue this over till Thursday?
We're going to be doing on-site inspections later this week, and we'll have a specific recommendation to stay or go on the agenda.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
You're speaking so softly, it's difficult for me to hear you. Put the
yes.
mic in front of you.
Yes, we will make a determination later this week about whether they've met all the requirements for a
Okay.
recommendation to the board.
All right, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Sandra Cantu, 9577 Highway 90 East, Milton. Does the developer pay for all these drainage and so forth? When a developer makes a subdivision, does he or she pay for the?
Yes, ma'am, and they have to come up to our standards, and then after we inspect them, and the engineer tells us that they're up to our standards, then we accept them for maintenance at that point in time, and if they're not up to standards, we don't, and it remains the responsibility of the builder, and it falls either then to the homeowners association or the individual owners if there's no homeowners association.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. We've concluded the engineer's report. Next up is Public Service Committee, Commissioner Lynchard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item number 1 is discussion of renewal of the radio maintenance agreement with CES Inc., DBA Team 1 Communications at the current annual rate of $144,478. Unless there are any questions or discussion, I'll move this to Thursday without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
And item 2 is discussion of approval of the updated Florida Department of Transportation functional classification roadway map for Santa Rosa County. Unless there are any discussion, I'll move this to Thursday without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
And that concludes Public Services.
Public Works Committee, Commissioner Cole.
Thank you. Item number 1 is discussion of comparison shopping proposal from Morales Grassing LLC for sod at $1.05 per square yard for the Munson Highway Small County Outreach Program project SCOP. I move that to Thursday without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
Item 2 is discussion of declaring surplus property and transferring one zero-turn mower from Parks Department to Santa Rosa Correctional Institute. I do have a question on that one, Mr. Chairman. If this thing's still got life in it where the Correctional Department can use it, why are we donating it to them and then us turn around and have to buy another lawnmower? Because that's what we're going to do when I get to finance. I could see if this thing was junk, but if the Correction Department can use it, why are we giving it away?
It's just the amount of mowing we do. We don't deem it to be dependable any longer. It's been in the shop for repairs several times, and it just doesn't have the dependability that we need for day in and day out operations. So we're replacing it with new ones.
Okay, so, and they're taking it as is?
They're taking it as is, and they're responsible for any repairs. And I'm assuming they probably have inmates at any given time who are mechanically inclined to help repair such mowers.
Okay, thanks for that clarification. Appreciate it. I'll move that to Thursday without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
Item 3 is discussion of extension of contract with Panhandle Grading and Paving Incorporated for asphalt services for 1 year at current rates. I'll move that to Thursday without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
That concludes Public Works Committee.
Next is Budget and Finance Committee, Commissioner Cole.
Item number 1 is discussion of Budget Amendment 2014-129.
Excuse me, did we pull that one, Mr. Walker? Is that the one we pulled?
Yes, sir. We don't need any action on that.
Okay, so that one has been pulled.
Okay. Item 2, discussion of Budget Amendment 2014-130 in the amount of $34,150 to transfer funds from Capital Fund to General Fund for 3 mowers for the Parks Department as approved at the May 8th, 2014 BOCC regular meeting. I move that to Thursday without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
Item 3 is discussion of Budget Amendment 2014-131 in the amount of $7,720 to reallocate ICP funds reserved in the general fund to purchase a new MTR 3000 to replace the current 14-year-old Sapphire repeater, which is no longer satisfactory. Do so to Thursday without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
Item 4 is discussion of Budget Amendment 2014-132 in the amount of $31,450 to transfer funds from the Capital Fund to the General Fund for a 3-year renewal of the WebSense Internet Security System subscription as approved at the May 8, 2014 BOCC regular meeting. Moved that to Thursday without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
Item 5 is discussion of Budget Amendment 2014-131 in the amount of $40,330 to transfer funds from the Capital Fund to the General for a color copier for the co-op extension and renovations to the restroom and lifeguard tires on Navarre Beach and to complete handicap boardwalks in the park. I'm okay with moving this to Thursday, but by Thursday, if I could, Ms. Bell, could you give us a complete breakdown of that? I didn't find that in my backup. So.
Yeah, I'll be happy to.
Thank you. I'll move that to Thursday without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
Item 6 is discussion of county expenditure and check register, which I have on my desk, and I'll have that to you by Thursday for final approval, so I do that without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
And, Mr. Chairman, I had an add-on, just an information item,
Yes, sir.
if I might. Let me give just a minute here. I'm sure probably between now and last Thursday at 2:51 a.m. in the morning, May 16th, we've had some more citizens added to Santa Rosa County rolls, but I'm especially fond of one. Her name is Diane, or Hannah Diane after my wife's middle name, 7-pound, 4-ounce new resident and citizen of Santa Rosa County, which is my granddaughter. So congratulations to my son-in-law Stephen, daughter Heather, and to Lizzie, my first granddaughter from that family. And it was quick. 2:51, we was back home by 5 o'clock. So we're real glad for Heather because she doesn't take pain well. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And one other thing, I would like to ask staff to review our courthouse webpage site. Maybe it's me, but I've had some citizens call me and say they had a hard time getting to it. You know, we've got a nice little icon there for Pet of the Week and one for whatever flag's being displayed out on the beach. I feel we need something like that for our courthouse so people can click on it a little quicker. I'm having trouble finding it, but that's not saying a lot with my computer savvy. So, and Joy's holding it up there, making me look even worse. So. So maybe I just need a lesson, but I have had several citizens say they couldn't find it. So if we could maybe make that a little easier, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, and he'll be passing the hat here for Start a College Fund shortly. So, public forum, anything here to come before this board? Name and address, please, ma'am, for the record.
Andrea McDermott, 8093 Sleepy Bay Boulevard. 2 weeks ago, I came before you and asked for help with Sound Hammock subdivision. A lot's happened since then. I'd like to thank Commissioner Cole when the residents came out Thursday and spoke to you also about the problems they were having. Commissioner Cole came out and met with them, and we walked the neighborhood, the entire neighborhood. And he's helping come with a resolution that'll be affordable and acceptable to everybody. And I really appreciate him coming out and doing that. You know, too often people come before you with complaints or problems, and not often do they come before to thank you. So I'm here today to thank y'all for your help with it.
Thank you. It's very, very much appreciated. Anything else come before the board? We are adjourned.